Hey guys, welcome to a bonus episode of Mornings with Monsters. Today we're going to be discussing Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. It just came out, I think yesterday. Hopefully we're getting it posted today on the 1st. First off, I think we mention it pretty quickly, but not quickly enough, so I'm going to add it right here. Huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, you plan on seeing the movie, and you don't want anything spoiled, don't watch this yet. But watch it after. Or if you don't plan on seeing the movie and you just feel like listening to us talk about it, that's fine too. But you have been warned. Make sure you let us know if you enjoy this kind of thing. We could do more in the future. I know we had so much fun watching and recording this and talking about it because we're all very passionate on this subject, obviously. So thank you so much, and we'll have you back to our regularly scheduled program next Friday, again at 8 a.m. Eastern. So thank you again, and enjoy.
Welcome to a special episode of Mornings with Monsters. We all have recently seen Honor Amongst Thieves, the new D&D Dungeons and Dragons movie, and we are so excited to share our thoughts. Dylan saw it first and he immediately said, guys, we have to review this, and that is exactly what we are going to do for you here today, and a little bit of maybe a mini-sode, maybe a full-length episode. We'll see. We have a lot of thoughts. It was fantastic.
It was so fun.
It was so good. I was wildly impressed with everybody in it. I had no idea Bradley Cooper was going to be in it.
That was so good.
That was a shock for sure.
That was so random.
As a halfling and it as well, like that is such a fitting character for him.
So good.
If we should start by saying huge spoilers. Don't listen to this. Stop here right now if you haven't seen the movie, because we're going to break it all apart and talk about things that are going to spoil the movie.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
major spoilers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want to start with just like the beginning part to see if I did see it or not. When they were doing the opening sequence, and they were showing the pan over the map. Was it like the actual, like, did I see Icewind Dale like just in the corner?
That's where the prison is.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Oh, I was so happy.
I knew. I was like, that's when I was like, oh shit, this is.
But it makes sense because they went from Icewind Dale down to the Sword Coast, and they were talking about like the Sword Coast the whole time.
Yep, I was like, I know we're gonna have to talk about this now. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. One of the first things that I like said to Ellen as we walked out of the theater was like, I enjoy how much of a mix of a just purely high fantasy Hollywood blockbuster film that it was, while also being like a very awesome homage to the real lore and the like actual places that we all know from the game. You know, like
agreed.
Well, it's funny because like I don't know the places from the game.
Okay.
I haven't, as much as I've read, like I have not listened to Critical Role, which is probably the number one.
I would say like the games like Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, those games actually bring a lot more popularity to the like Forgotten Realms. Yeah. And like
like most of the Forgotten Realms campaigns I've listened to have been highly altered from the original Forgotten Realms, or have been spent in like the Fey Wilds of the Forgotten Realms, like
which makes sense, yeah. And I mean, really, like the only place that you've probably been super familiar with was where did the place in the Mines of Phandelver take place? That's over by Neverwinter, I believe.
Yeah, it is. It's near Neverwinter. Dylan might know the answer too because it's.
I almost said Rockport, but it's not Rockport because that's made up.
That's made up. Yeah, well, I mean, it's all made up, but yeah, because they do it in the Adventure Zone in Taz.
Yeah, I think that would be like
it.
Yeah, we played it as well.
Yeah.
Phandalin?
Phandalin. Yeah. There you go.
That's it.
Oh yeah, it's not Phandelver, is it?
No, it is the Mines of Phandelver, but Phandalin is the name of the city.
Gotcha.
That's close. So there's a little difference there, and it's all fresh on my mind because I started reading the Dritz books. So there's a lot of like the Icewind Dale and Sword Coast, and a lot of those places are familiar.
It's kind of crazy that we're talking about this part of it because, like, even myself, like, I think I kind of was thinking that, but because I don't have that background knowledge of who I am as a player, like, I didn't quite pick up on that you guys did.
Oh, it was
Whereas,
like literally a split second where it
wasn't
showed
even
Icewind Dale, and then like if you didn't know those cities, you wouldn't have like.
Yeah.
But as
it wouldn't
soon
have made any difference.
yeah, I was already kind of thinking like this is Icewind Dale, and like just like the way they panned and you know explained the scene without explaining the scene. I think they did a good job with that. I could just hear the DMs like the cascading like snow over the I was just like, oh man, and that's how I felt like the whole movie was just like the way they did it. I could just it was literally like a campaign.
Yeah. My wife was saying like consistently when we were talking about it, she liked watching and seeing how many like obvious nat 20s and nat 1s that these characters rolled because like and I was thinking the same thing like especially during the scene when the tiefling was soaring through the air as a falcon just dodging arrow after arrow. I was like, this is too many successes on a deck save. And then she ran into the flag. And I was like, there we go. There you go. That's a 1, and it was really, I thought it was really well done. Like the bridge part where he steps on the bridge and like, he says, oh, I didn't realize we started yet. What a D&D thing to say. Like,
and also, okay, I feel like their storytelling, they took a cue from like The Princess Bride a bit. Like the way that because I was curious how they were gonna do it, and I feel like that's the same kind of fantasy realm of like because it's like a book being read in that movie. That particular spot there's a spot where the paladin Zenek, I think is
yeah, that sounds right.
I can't pronounce his real name because I just want to say like Reggie or something, but I don't think it is. Because he's French. Yeah, and he's amazing. And I didn't think I knew he was going to be in this movie, and I think this movie is probably one of the reasons he stopped working on the Bridgerton project, which I kind of love because I'm like that means he was like, look,
really
I love this high fantasy like old shit, but like I want to be a fucking paladin. That's like, I want to be
he
was the overpowered NPC.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you guys if you thought he was an NPC that just like was like, hey, I'm going to get you out of a tight spot real quick.
I would have thought like, oh, he's just like, at first I was like, oh, this is like a player coming into a campaign that already had a built character with lore.
Yeah.
Until he was like, I can't travel with you. And I was like, oh, he's an NPC.
What really like stamped NPC on his face for me was when he left the party and he just walked in a straight line, like over the rock, down the rock. Like he doesn't care.
That's so funny.
Hilarious.
Well, because that's also a player move where it's like, I walk in a straight line. Well, there's a rock in the way. I walk over the rock. I don't care.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And
that's why I love it because it's an NPC, but it's like it's also very clearly like a character NPC.
Yeah, like a DM wrote it for him to play a little bit.
Exactly. Like, and that's kind of like I love when you have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
He played that paladin better than most characters play paladins
100%
in
100%
in general, and it was like he really did, I think, justice to the role,
to D&D,
yeah, absolutely, because he was sticking to his alignment. He was like, he didn't understand, what did he say? He said something like, I don't trade in phrases or something like that.
Oh, right.
That was like, I was like, God, that's such a good line from like a paladin who's just so pure that he doesn't even understand like sarcasm
and shit.
Yeah, so good. And then as like a person who plays a paladin badly as far as alignment goes, I really appreciated I think they did such a good job.
Yeah, I did too. I think it was great.
Was there any classes you were like, either what class are they or like they didn't
I'm
do them
pretty
justice.
sure that Michelle Rodriguez is a fighter with the improvised weapon feat
I think
because
so. Yeah.
because when she used her axe, she'd get like a hit or two or three, but when she uses like whatever she found, she was just pounding these dudes, and it was so fast. And like at first, I thought maybe a monk, just because of like how fast she was.
Yeah.
But the more I watched it, it definitely looks like a brawler, improvised weapon fighter.
I think you're right. So I think they're all pretty straightforward. Like we have our
Yeah.
druid, whatever
Yep.
circle lets you fucking get extra
Wild shape?
Yeah, extra wild shape. My goodness.
Tell me about it.
But
She was in and out,
but I'm not mad about it.
yeah.
I think they played it so well. Like I knew
Can
that
we-
they weren't going to be 100% class stuff, and I was okay with that.
As someone who's played a druid so many times,
Yeah.
I was wondering what they were gonna do. So there's two things in gameplay that I think can be very hard to come across in a live action or an anime or whatever. And you kind of see it with Vox Machina as well. As much as you can look at the fights and see a D&D fight, it's also so hard to actually play out a fight how you play it out with D&D mechanics.
Sure.
Because like the time has to be warped a little bit with like when we do it, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna like hit this person over here and you're gonna hit this person over here, but like in game it feels like it's been so long.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's all like
It's
And
snappy and quick.
I
and-
thought so
yeah.
too, and that's what I loved about Michelle Rodriguez, because they show that like how a fight in D&D could take, this time that they
Yeah.
talked about what they were going to do, but
Yeah.
what it looks like is how they set it up with the real quick, like sped up
Yeah.
fight times. She landed
So
like
with
12 hits in
that-
2 seconds.
Exactly.
with
Every
that, it's
dodge, every
also-
parry is just like a missed AC.
Yep.
Yeah, and with that, it's like the wild shape, as wildly powerful as it is, if you only have 3 uses of
Yeah,
it.
it's really limited.
Yeah.
It's a very limited use thing.
I think that instead of like having her cast spells and focus on that
Yeah.
element, they just wanted to
She
display
went
like
through wild shape.
exactly. Yeah, they
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
were like this
Yep.
is like a druid's main thing, which it is for
Yeah,
a lot of
it
druids.
is. It's
So-
bread and butter almost.
If it was Essie, she
But
would have been
it's-
summoning all those things, but like
Yeah.
that's just druid, and they wanted to showcase that.
Yeah.
I also
But it's
really
like
loved.
after it's a secondary thing.
Yeah,
Kind of.
I
Anyway.
really love the way that they represented wild magic
Yes. that
as
was
like
cool.
the belt dial. Like he's wishing for whatever he wants, but
He's
something
literally
random's
spinning.
coming out. You know what
And
I
he just,
mean?
like,
Like
adds some powder to his like natural sorcerer's magic. I think that
it's amazing. I thought what a
Really cool.
great like visual representation of
Mhm.
something that in D&D is kind of just introspective at best, because we have a table that we roll on, so we don't ever visualize something
Mhm.
that you would roll on your belt. Like I think that's
Yeah.
really really cool to know that like they wanted you to understand that with sorcery specifically, like this could be a big part of like how you cast spells. You're not like strong enough or confident enough to just be like,
Mhm.
I cast this spell. But you also have to kind of rely just on luck, be able to like mold the situation from whatever happens. I thought that was so fun.
All right, guys. Chubby dragon.
Hold on,
Oh
before
my
we get to that, let's take a
Ah.
short break. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome to the middle of the bonus episode. Just a quick one this week. We just wanted to make sure you know about the platform you have to view our content. That's, you can find us wherever you view your podcasts. But if you want to see like pictures and things like, I know Alex and Melina posted some stuff about them going to see the D&D movie. You can check that out on our Instagram at Mornings with Monsters. And if you want to discuss this with us, give us some recommendations, which we've already got some that we'll be doing shortly, you can reach us at morningswmonsters@gmail.com. That's all I had for you. Just wanted to drop in and say, hey, hope you're enjoying the bonus content for the week. And and let us know what you think. Thanks, guys. As always, don't forget, tell all your friends, your family, everyone you know that's a nerd or not a nerd, and we'll see you. We'll see you next week. Thanks again. Welcome back, guys. Hope you're enjoying this special episode, because I feel like we are already. Before we talk about the amazing chubby dragon, I wanted to talk about Chris Pine's character, Edgin. Man, such D&D names, first of all.
Oh, right. Honestly, they nailed it.
Yeah, they literally
Holga.
look like people popped like barbarian into that 5e fantasy name generator, like every character,
Literally.
like every character does.
Even Simon is such a sorcerer name.
Yeah, it is. Simon the Sorcerer.
Anyway.
In my opinion, Edgin is, and I think they were subtle with the bard, but here's my thought process on it. I don't think he started as a bard. I think he started as either a fighter, a paladin, or a rogue, or maybe a multi-class.
Same.
And I think he got up to that high level, and then over time lost those levels and decided to become a bard. So he's almost like a subclass, but he's only using his 1, 2, or 3 levels of bard.
We were just thinking that.
Literally was saying he had to be some type of like thief, so I think rogue would work best. Like,
yeah, I thought rogue, but he was wearing full plate and made an oath, which was like paladin or fighter to me, or maybe even cleric. But
I also can think of the fact that, like, because of the order that they were in, you need more than just paladins and fighters.
And when we saw his memories, when we saw his memories, he was like doing real like sneaky work, like for his order,
Yeah, true.
He might have been armored like a paladin, which I think is another liberty that they're going to take with, which is totally fine. Like, with D&D classes, like, and races, like, there's certain armor you're not allowed to wear, essentially.
Or like maybe he was a rogue, and he just wore armor because he wanted to.
Well, I'm thinking, like, if because he was part of this green or the whatever oath order thing,
the wardens, right?
The Harpers,
that's right.
Yes, because he was a Harper, like, he had a uniform,
Yeah.
Even though his skills were not necessarily that he was a paladin,
right?
But I definitely agree that, like, he became a bard like later in life.
Yeah, because I was telling Melina when we took our break that like he shows off a lot of the non-magical skills that bards have. Being able to like distract or inspire or convince or persuade, like,
he did a lot of encouraging, like
a lot.
Like at the whole scene when I was like when they were at the bonfire and they all came
it's bardic
together,
inspiration 100%.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Or like when they're leaving what's his butt's house and he like is trying to like lift her spirits.
The one time I was like, they could have given him a spell would have been when the sorcerer was casting minor illusion or whatever illusion.
Oh my god!
And his eyes were getting all wonky. I was like, that could have been the one time where they gave the bard a spell, and he could have either been doing that or like him playing and like that illusions like doing the thing. I was just like shook that every attack he made was just smacking him over the head with his lute.
I think that's where,
like, when he picked up the axe.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get it because I think that really ties to the fact that like he's lost it. He's a planner. He is a team player. He's not necessarily even a leader. He's just a like
he's a
maker. He says it himself, right? He's a plan. Like
he's a planner.
He makes plans.
He's a planner. Like he can be the leader, but he doesn't. He wants to put someone else in charge of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I thought it was really interesting how they did it because through the last like year and a half, watching D&D trends like on TikTok and stuff, like the dad bard archetype has really become like a popularity, and it's almost very fitting for Chris Pine's character because, like you said, he doesn't necessarily need or want to be the leader. He has the capabilities and he has the organizational skills like of his mind to figure out a good plan, but like you said, he'd rather watch other people take that role and grow into it, and I think it was a very like dad bard aspect of his character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job with the bard. I think that it was subtle and you wouldn't have caught it if have never encountered a bard.
Yeah.
And
But
honestly, if this is going to be a franchise, which I think that they left it open for franchising,
yeah.
like he could, because like he could not understand that he's using bardic inspiration, like
True.
completely.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, like
that's
he
true.
could be at the very beginning of his learning journey of being
Of
a bard.
barding. Yeah.
Like, because maybe he was always like a bard at heart, like a background planner, a upfront, because he was also like he was a spy while he was a bard, like
Yeah.
for the whatchamacallit, that was
Which
in
is
the
also a very like bard route
bards,
to
but
go,
also
right?
like
Like,
roguey thing to
Well, I
do.
think the whole thing about bards is since they're not necessarily a melee class, they fill many roles that
mhm.
many classes fill on the non-combat side.
Yep. And
Like
that's what I like about the representation of it, because it's like I love having bards in parties because you automatically can fill whatever you're missing
yeah.
through
Yeah.
that. Like it doesn't matter what you're missing, a bard can pretty much get it to you.
Yeah, and they might not be the best lock picker, but they can try and usually get it more than not. Or,
Yeah. Better
um,
than a fighter would.
yeah, and they got like stealth. They can even heal sometimes.
Yeah. Or buff you, in which case that might be better
Exactly.
than heals,
Honestly. Yeah, I think overall I really enjoyed all of the character choices for the main party. The
Mhm.
biggest thing I was like, I'm almost glad they didn't because it would have been too cheesy. But the when she was like, I'm a tiefling, I was like, oh man, she's not purple. And I know tieflings aren't supposed to be purple; they're supposed to be red. But
Yeah.
they didn't give her any coloration, and I was a little
Yeah.
surprised by that.
I was curious about that, but I also was like, is this just me seeing that through my players and them doing it by choice, or is it something that like is a D&D like lore
In D and
for
D
sure?
lore, like originally, tieflings were of a red color, and then
Okay.
players were like, "Nah, purple's better." So purple and blue and stuff kind of just became the norm.
Oh,
But
that's
like if
cool.
you read way back old stuff, if they're all typically red because they are like of demonic origin. So a
All
lot of
right.
those things are red.
I had one gripe.
Take
Uh,
high elves as a infant, so it's very also possible she has some sort of like
I mean, she could be half many things or a combination,
yeah.
yeah.
but like
But
it sounds like she was born of parents that weren't neither were a tiefling. I don't know. Maybe she was touched by a demon or something, or her mother was or something. It's not
Mm,
impossible. So that's why she's only like part tiefling because
maybe
yeah.
they experienced a devil at some point or whatever, and she was just born with horns and a tail, and that's literally it.
Yeah. I had one gripe about their casting, and it's only because if you see Hugh Grant being good in the beginning of the movie, it's guaranteed he's going to be the bad guy at the end.
Yeah, that was obvious. I think.
It
but
was
he
just so obvious.
job.
I mean, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
Hugh Grant. Like, he doesn't do a bad job. It's just like, it has nothing to do with him. It's
yeah.
just like, if they wanted to have a slower build on his, like, bad guyness, like, you could have picked somebody else because it's Hugh Grant. Like, it's a
Yeah.
guarantee. Like, you see him in the beginning of the movie and he's being like, I'm going to help my friends. You're gonna see him at the end being like, I don't like my friends.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
It's a one weird thing that I was like immediately when I saw him, I was like, watch, he's gonna be the end game bad guy. And he
Yeah,
was, like almost.
Half the end game bad
Yeah,
guy.
half. And I will give it that, like, the true bad guy was definitely way better than him.
yeah, which I think we have to talk about, but uh we are neglecting our fans' thirst for Chubby Dragon.
Chubby Dragon!
I was so happy with that decision only because we've seen a lot of dragons are something that have been depicted in movies and
A
Yes.
other
lot.
a lot. I don't know what I don't know what it was, just like the use of the like breath mechanics, the use of the like just the movement that it did. Like
Yeah.
I was very impressed with the graphics of all kinds. I was impressed with the design of the dragon.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
looked great.
it looked so good, and I'm like, I have never even considered a chubby chubby dragon
Honestly,
like that.
yeah, they did.
Same.
They
Same.
surprised everyone with that, I
That's
believe.
a huge thing that I mean, as DMs, all three of us, like, that's never even crossed our mind to
No.
have a fat dragon.
I mean, it
But it
makes
like,
sense. Like it
It's
tracks.
amazing. Amazing. And especially that it's a red. You know what I mean?
Yep, it's greedy.
Like it's
not like
perfect.
it's not like it's a normal thing. Like the characters themselves are like, what did he eat his last horn? Like
Yeah, yep.
Well, so it to me it seemed like they're mid low level, somewhere under 10, maybe
Yep.
10 at the most.
Yep.
So if you're fighting an adult red dragon, that fight isn't about killing the dragon, right? And
It's
I think
about
they did
running
an
away.
amazing job with that.
Yes.
Where they
Yes.
had all of the athletics and dex checks, and then at
Yep.
the end there was a puzzle where there was a dragon's face in there, you know,
Yeah.
in their face, and they had to figure out a way. It
Like
was
how to escape.
I was just like, oh my god,
out of there.
investigation check. There's water dripping down. Oh, it's salt water. They've rolled an 18. Like, you know,
Yeah.
the whole
Yep.
time I was just like,
I thought like that bit of the movie, the whole Dragon Hordes part is
Mhm.
such a perfect representation of an encounter in D&D because
yes.
you have the DM deciding to use a fat dragon to
Mhm.
kind of like represent the danger of the situation. It's a dragon.
Yep.
You're about to get fucked, but also it's a fat dragon. So like there's
Yeah,
like
you
this
can get away
moment that
from
the party has to be like, holy
Can't
shit.
run away.
Yeah, we can run away, and that's a fat ass dragon. And like it was perfect because it really shows like this is a DM decision. It's something that
Yep.
is going to surprise people, and you're not going to expect it. But there's layers to it, and then it's a representation of like a very organic reaction from a party sitting at a table, seeing that DM's decision, being like, "What? That's a fat dragon? Like, can you
Yeah.
explain
Yeah.
it again to me real quick? 'Cause I think I missed something." And like
Mhm.
you said, like you get athletics checks, dexterity saves, you get that one random hit from the paladin, you know what I mean, as like a last resort to
Save
help
the bard.
a dex save, you know what I mean? Like that, it's perfect. And then, like you said, that puzzle at the end, you know, maybe the sorcerer has no idea, but like the bard rolls an intuition and is like,
Yep.
hey, the sorcerer can do this, you know, or a history check or whatever, remembering when he saw it last. And it's like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
The dragon not being able to use his breath every single time.
That was nice. But like
Amazing.
watching him try
Yeah,
and
amazing.
him
And like,
using his breath. You
yeah,
know?
and it really illustrates like the expression of our game that happens all up in our heads that we don't really
Yep.
get to see, and it just played
Correct.
out so well.
So good.
I love it
I
so
think the
much.
whole Underdark sequence was very
I
good.
freaked out.
It was so good.
I freaked
And
out.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, their representation of magical weapons, guys.
Yes.
They did so good because I was like, especially because I was like, they look so different. 'Cause when you have him light up his like paladin's blade, and
Yeah.
then you have this undead enemy light
And
up
he
his.
has what,
Such
like
a good
a
fight sequence.
like a Pact of the Blade warlock as an
Yeah.
undead or something like that is what
Yeah.
I was assuming. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
I don't know if it was
So
a
good.
special thing, but it's essentially looks like a flame blade, but the flames were green.
yep,
Green
Which
flame
I was
blade,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
this is beautiful, and they look cohesive, like they're from like they could be from the same store, and they're both magical weapons, but they're completely different at the
Yeah.
same
So
time.
different. Yeah, I've really enjoyed the character design, everything about the
Yep.
paladin, because I love that over the top, like
It-
opulent for
yeah.
no reason, like glowing
fact that-
sword.
Like
he can
NPCs
take his glowing sword apart and it's still a dagger.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
And then
Yeah.
he's just like walking away from the fight, like we better go. they're coming
Yep,
back.
yep.
It was just like, oh my god, that's so paladin-y.
Yup.
Very good, very very good.
I have a question.
Already did.
What were those brain things? Because I thought we were about to see Illithids for the
Yeah,
first time.
same. And I do think those are. There could have been Illithids down there, right?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
Right. Those things are monsters in D&D, and we are a monster podcast, so we should know, right? We didn't even talk
Right.
about any of the monsters yet.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Okay, so what are those things? I've seen them before. They are like something to do with an Illithid. I think they're like scouts or like they're Wi-Fi routers kind of thing.
Okay, and because it kind of reminds me of like their pupil stage that we've
Yeah.
talked about.
They're called intellect devourers.
Intellect devourers.
Yeah.
Wow,
But
that's
they are part of like the Illithid. We've talked about them. Yeah.
we have.
I thought so. Yeah, yeah. I thought
There's-
I
yep.
at least
And
a little bit.
how
There's
funny
been
when it just walked right past them. So
Yeah.
Oh my god,
I was like,
Chris Pine saying, "Oh, well, that was a little hurtful." Like
Right.
how
Yeah,
that's
those
such
are
a party line,
exactly.
you know? Like
and the
it's
comedic timing,
amazing.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be cringy, but the way they timed it, I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it. I thought we were in for an actual battle, like where it would be walking towards them, and then like halfway through, they'd like
Stop
see
at
like
the wizard, maybe.
I was thinking Holga,
Yeah,
just
her
like
too.
just for the joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just because she's been shown to like not have a good plan, and she
Yeah.
just cares about her potatoes and beating people up. But it would have been so funny to be like, oh, and this is the party member with the highest intelligence stat.
Probably. I mean, even the paladin, like getting out of the way and like waiting there, like
Yeah, yeah.
and then it just walks right past them all.
Just moves through it. I mean, it
So-
was cool. It was interesting. I like how when they were going into the Underdark, like they alluded to the things that were there, like the Illithids with these intellect devourers, but they also
Durgar.
the Dwergar, yeah,
Yeah.
and then like the deep gnomes
Yep.
were the people who built that crazy bridge that they accidentally destroyed.
Yep.
And it's really cool because I don't know, I play a deep gnome and I
You
really
get
latch.
excited about the statues.
Yeah, but I also get excited about showing how complex their like culture is. Like that puzzle for the bridge is ridiculous, you know? Like only step on the odd numbered squares, except for the fifth square, you take a lateral move, and then once we reach the center point, you have to go on the even numbered squares and take a lateral move.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's amazing because that's exactly how deep gnomes survive in the Underdark. When there are Dwergar, there are Illithid, there are dark elves, there are freaking hook horrors like all around them. That's the reason, because you can't find them in the Underdark. You know,
Underdark. They did a good job of representing how terrifying the Underdark can be, and like they didn't even face anything but a dragon, really.
That's
down
it.
there.
And that's surprising.
Lucky. That's lucky.
Yeah,
it's probably the fact that the dragon was there was why they didn't face all the
I can see that.
all the other things. No, I think they did a good job with that.
Yeah, they did a great job.
So before we talk about the obvious sequence of the monsters being represented,
Sure.
did you guys notice the small? I'm sure you did. The small little monsters that they were kind of showing as they were traveling, like the fights that they avoided because they didn't roll. You know, like when they were traveling to the Underdark, there was like spiders on the trees, but they were behind them.
Yeah.
Or when they were in the alley,
there was like those dodo bird things.
Those things like fighting each other on the little clothesline. And I was trying to like squint my eyes, like what are those? I couldn't tell what those were. There were I don't think it was a phase spider, but it was some kind of. I was like, oh, those are just like straight up
missed
like,
encounters.
Yeah, those are just encounters the DM had to throw away.
Yep.
I
love
good.
that.
And also
that's amazing.
Shows the world like it shows like the development of like there's all these crazy things going on in this magical world that like are just all over the place, and that's why people get stronger is because they have to persevere through all these trials. I think that was really, really cool. And I thought that was fun to try and pick those out.
I thought one of the coolest uses of monsters in the whole movie was the gelatinous cube. I
I
thought
did love their
Yes.
gelatinous
they did
cubies.
that 100% as good as you could. You know what I mean? Without giving them a whole specific, like, separate encounter just to fight it. Like,
Yep.
that was exactly right.
And the DM scrambling like, I guess you can jump into the cube,
Yeah.
but now
Yeah.
you're underneath the thing, and all the towers are coming down. You need to make dex checks. Like,
Yeah.
it was all
Yep.
like, I know it was scripted, but I could feel like if I was a
But I
GM
mean,
and you did that and it worked, I'd
even
be
like
fuck.
even like the tiefling being able to jump not only into it but all the way through just enough to poke a finger through, so that when she turned into a snake, her void inside the cube allowed her
Yes.
safe travel through it. Like, that was
so smart.
brilliant, you know?
Yep.
If someone did that at my table, I would just be like, all right, give me 20 minutes to figure that math out real quick.
Right. Yeah.
Get there.
Rule of cool.
Yeah, I mean, really.
I know that's like what Olivia. So there are two things that Livy said. My sister, our sister, um, she was like, they totally would have been crushed by the weight of the seawater and the rocks coming down on them after the dragon like exploded this little like underground thing they were stuck in, underwater thing they're stuck.
IRL.
And I'm like, yeah, in real life, but like probably nat 20, rule of cool, baby. It's all good.
Yeah,
And she's like, yeah, that's fair. And her other thing was that if you don't know the insides of D&D, then you don't get quite as much from the movie. But
I
I'm like,
agree.
but I think you can't, like, you still get so much from the movie.
I also think that, like, if you don't already know a lot about the insides of D&D, this movie can be such a perfect inspiration for you to learn or
Yeah.
play, because
Yeah.
it's, like I said at the beginning,
Why did
it's
that happen?
exactly
And that happen?
a
Yeah.
mixture of the worlds meeting. These over here, these people just like good movies, big blockbusters that have a lot of action. Over here, you have high fantasy nerds, D&D nerds, and now we get to meet in the middle with this movie,
Mhm.
and people are going to be like, well, if Chris Pine can just talk his way out of his ass the entire time, I'd like to do that. Or,
Yeah.
hey, I want to punch somebody 12 times in one round. Like, okay, cool. Here's a fighter sheet. Go
Right.
ahead. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I'm so
I think
excited
it's
for
really well done.
all the non-players to come to
Yeah.
the players and be like, can you really do that? Like, what's that panther thing with the tentacles?
Oh, disruptor beasts.
Yeah.
I love them.
As soon as I saw like the panther face, my mom was like, what's that? And I was like, it's a displacer beast.
Displacers,
And
yeah.
I heard some guy behind me go, oh,
Yeah.
when I said it.
Yeah. Melina's met one in game. A nice one though, who could talk.
Okay.
His
I
name
didn't
is
see that.
Dialogrin,
Diana.
and he watched over all the lost items from the Fey Carnival, and he also had like 2 kids who lost their parents at the time. But my party was not nice enough to find the parents, so
I didn't meet him because I wasn't at the party.
oh, damn, that's right. So Melina hasn't met Dialogrin, but maybe at some point.
Yeah.
So how did we feel about the mimic?
Oh, I love
While
mean-
I liked it, don't get me wrong, thought it was awesome, especially because they like you see all of the
regular
treasure
chests.
chests before the like
They
the walls
open,
come up,
yeah.
but like I think that it was too easily thwarted.
Yeah,
well,
I
they
agree.
didn't fight it.
I know, but what I'm saying is like the person opened the chest and didn't immediately get latched on. They did make a dexterity save the first time, and it's like, sure, but you touched that mimic. Like you shouldn't
Yeah.
even you shouldn't even have gotten that like dexterity save, or it should have been at disadvantage. Like I don't know. It's one of those things where like because I love mimics so much, I feel like they got shot a little bit.
I think same. I think if we were to fix that, maybe an opposing party had found the chest at the same time, and then they both open it trying to fight over it,
Yeah.
and it snatches
Yeah.
the other party member.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then she slices the tongue off or something.
Yep,
It was just cool to see one.
it was. Yeah. It was
I
nice.
think it was designed well. It was very classic, and I think everyone that's seen the that's ever played D&D or heard of a mimic saw it coming, but
Yeah,
we loved it, and everyone that
yeah.
didn't was probably like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
That's real. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the
So that
thing
was
is
fun.
like that scene was in the trailer.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it's
I
like
I didn't
avoided
watch
them.
any of the trailers. Yeah, same.
I mean, I almost never watch trailers, but this one was one that I watched. Like I watched them usually once, like way before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
I remember watching it because then we were a little nervous, and I was like, "No, I think you'll like it because the design of the mimic in it is really fucking good."
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
'cause I didn't know that was the only amount we were gonna get from it, but like in the trailer, you don't get you get like it popping out and coming at her, and then like it
And
goes
then
to
they switch the scene. Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh my god, Alex is gonna love this mimic!" Like,
No, and I did. I think it was really great. I mean, like
yes,
Dylan said,
but
like
they
we all expected it, but yeah, my only gripe is that
you
it
wanted
was a
more.
fast scene, and I understand that like they couldn't have taken a lot of time, but I do appreciate that like mimics you in most D&D sequences are like one of the things that are like the top threat, in that room or that area. But it was cool to see that it wasn't the top threat. It was
No.
fun to know
Yeah.
that like there are things that these people will see that are much more pressing, if not dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
True.
What did
Okay.
you guys think of the owl bear?
Super
I
cool.
really enjoyed the owl bear design. I thought it was
I love that it was her main
very
go-to thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
For
I
her
also
melee.
like the way that they did like personal things to tie in a lot of the like stat block lore, like
Mhm.
how an owlbear still can turn its head all the way, and so like when you first see it, she like does that like weird head turn, and then
Mhm.
like the fighting tactics that we've talked about, or will talk about on our owlbear episode, about how like they pounce and they like
Yep.
they have a claw and a bite, but seeing her like claw and wrap something in so that she can bite it was really, really
Yeah.
fun because
Yep.
it's much more visual now
It's
to
like a
see it.
grapple. Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
I think it's easy to forget how terrifying something like an owlbear can be when you are a player who could kill one in 2 hits or one hit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
because you're just like, you've
It's an
ascended to
owlbear.
yeah. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's an early level thing. It's a terrifying thing. Like all those guards were probably high level, but like in if you're really dealing with a massive feathered bear with a beak, like that thing is gonna fuck you up. It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
When it has the intelligence of a druid behind it.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
Like
Yep.
that's the thing as a wild shape, if you're not familiar with D&D guys, uh you keep like your body changes.
It's
Like
only
you
your physical stats change.
Yeah.
yeah.
All of your mental like charisma, intelligence, wisdom, those stay the same. It's only
Yeah,
your
so it's not
your dex
who
strength.
strategize.
I have a question about wild shape actually. Can
So
you cast while in wild shape?
not until you are
Archdruid.
almost level 18 or 20, I think.
Wow.
20 is I think 20 is when you get the Archdruid feat, but I think there's also certain circles where you might be able to.
Yeah, there are
Oh,
certain
okay.
where you can do it, but I think Archdruid is you have to be an Archdruid to do both.
That's cool. That's
Um,
really cool.
which I think is another reason why it just made more sense for her to not be doing spells.
Oh
To
no,
have
that's why I was asking was if there was a reason for them not showing her cast spells while in wild shape. Like it
I
makes
think
well,
perfect
they can
sense.
I
cast
think it was
spells that
just like we
really
were saying earlier, they wanted to just showcase the fact that she can change into animals,
Sure.
yeah.
rather than like
You
she's a
didn't need spells
spellcaster.
like that.
I also really like that she would choose very appropriate for the task, but like unconventional choices of
Yeah, like a
wild shape.
Yeah,
D&D player.
Yeah, like I'm
very.
when we were running a party or a session where they needed to be sneaky and get some recon, our druid turned into a howler spider, so
Yeah.
that not only could it climb undetected like across a rope and like see stuff, but if it got into trouble, it could make a really loud noise and we could come and help it. But it's one of those things where that's like the intimacy of D&D, you know, like the personal choices that you get to make that makes your flavor your flavor.
Exactly. I love it. It's just such a wonderful expression. It's
Yeah.
such fun to like collaboratively tell a story.
And I really like how they represent that in how Chris Pine, his character has a personal goal of like
Yeah.
bringing back his wife, right?
And daughter, yeah.
Yeah, but like at the end
Saving
of
his
the
daughter, bringing
yeah,
correcting his wife.
at the end of the movie, you know, we see how his personal goal has changed to like encompass the party now, and
Yeah.
he brings back a party member who he realizes is more important than, you know, a love lost like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought that's a very nice thing to put in because it it does happen that like we all
It
come in
shows
with our
that
own
drama,
goals. Yeah, but
Yeah.
but pretty quickly we find that like our goals are much better achieved being the like collective goal. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like
I think they did a good job with that. I think
yeah,
they also did a good job with Chris Pine's character development as far as like being a shitty father was like
yeah,
because it was such a
sure.
classic like D&D backstory, like tragedy,
yep,
and then he overcomes it somewhat, but like he's still a bit estranged with his daughter, and then when he comes back and like has to deal with it all again,
yep,
it was very D&D-esque where it was like you don't get this whole romance of like emotion and everything. It has to be fairly quick because you're in the middle of these crazy situations, and so like you just say what you like. It's almost more realistic, real to life than most movies because it's like you don't hear a lot of monologues in real life. You
no,
just it's just kind of like, hey, I know I fucked up. I'm sorry. Forgive me, please. If I understand, if you can't, like, and that's kind of how it ended up being. It even showed him like trying to do that monologue, and then he was like, "I'm not doing that again." So,
yeah, it was cool to know like the movie wants us to play D&D while watching it. You know, like they are expecting us to follow it along as if we were players, and you don't have to have been a player already to get that feeling. I
No.
don't think. You know.
I don't
No.
think so either.
Okay, so
The
I think
Mage Hand fight, guys. I loved that.
which one?
And the Mage Hand fight.
Oh my
Yes, I
god!
wanted to talk about that. It was that whole fight in
That
combination was my favorite thing in the movie.
It was so good. So good.
It felt to me like that whole fight was so D&D. It was like the party taking like picking shots as much as they could, and then the Wizard of Thay, the Red Wizard, popping back, summoning an elemental, letting it deal with the party, and then like it just kept the party kept getting fucked up. But the second they got her on her back leg, they pounced like all at the same time, and that
All
for
of
me,
them. Yeah.
that for me was like, oh my god, that's such a D&D thing. It's like
Yep.
you finally get like advantage on a roll or stun the big bad, like
Yep.
like everyone jumps. and
Did you have flashbacks to your Storm Giant fight?
I did. I was like, oh god. But my Storm Giant didn't even get any of that cool stuff.
No, he didn't.
But I was like, that is such a player thing to do. Is like, you know what? Fuck everything as far as like the plan. Like, let's just lay it on thick all at once as much as we can. Burn those spell slots. Use those lay on hands. Like everyone, go. And I was like, that's quite a D&D thing when everyone stops thinking and just starts fighting.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Also, I think we need to touch on the Red Wizards a little bit. The Wizards of Thay.
Love that.
They were Red Wizards, and before she turned her robes red.
Huh?
Did you guys like know that she was a Red Wizard before?
Oh yeah,
her?
I was assuming that when they introduced the character.
Yeah,
I mean, she's definitely creepy as fuck.
Well, it's like she's this super powerful mage who wears a robe and like got them arrested, and they were kind of like, even in his backstory, were making it obvious.
They didn't trust her.
Yeah, they were making it obvious that the main antagonist in the realms are the the wizards, the red wizards.
Yeah.
So I was like, I put them together, and I was like, she's probably a red wizard, or at least working for them. And it seemed like she was like a lich's apprentice.
She was, because like you got to see her part in the like flashback from when they showed us like what
Yeah,
he
she
did
was in.
originally. She was
Yeah.
right on the council, and like the way he talked to her, the lich,
Yeah,
like through whatever communication they were doing, that was dope.
that was really
Uh,
cool.
Yeah.
but you could tell like how much importance he put on her. You
Yeah,
know, like he almost
Yeah.
respected her decisions and
and
her comments.
and when we talk about the lich next week,
Yep.
um, we will talk a little bit about why, because that episode's already recorded, but and without spoiling our episode too much, we talk a little bit about why a lich would make another lich,
Yeah.
because it's very liches are very like solo driven. They're very like they want to be the ruler. But I think this is a perfect example of like one of its followers was strong enough and showed enough potential and enough of the same kind of mindset and drive for conquering that it realistically a lich can't take over everything. It already had a whole nation essentially. I'm sure that's kind of what they were representing, and
Yeah.
it wants another nation. So to do that, maybe it helps this other one get to lichdom and take over that whole continent, which probably the lich's end goal was to like overwhelm her and incorporate it. But
Probably.
for now,
I don't know, because like she was the one who performed the
It's
ceremony,
true.
just as he was the one who performed the first one. And I agree with you. Like it's like a furthering his network,
Yeah,
but maybe the reason why he was taking her on is because like he doesn't need to overpower her because he has so much influence over her regardless.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like she's very much so like worships him, like
Yeah,
as
she
if he
probably
was
wasn't quite lich yet.
Yeah, I would say she's just high level necro, and
like you
that
can see
like
that at the end getting close, but
real close. But also, like, she had a magical dampening cuff on her at that point, and I'm
Yeah,
wondering if it was that her like the spell that she would cast to make her like not look old,
was
because
broken.
she's 300 years old.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? So I'm wondering if like it broke her concentration on that spell.
probably
maybe I think that the way I think she was about to death touch him.
could have been a magic item.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that at the end when we saw her go into like her most necromancy thing, I think it's because she was about to death touch him.
Power
so
So
yeah,
word
like
pill.
that's I guess that's where our opinions differ, because I personally think it was the cuff of
even with her
magic.
like see, but it was already changing before that.
It was already on. We just didn't know.
Is
Maybe.
when it stopped. Also, how smart, how good of I didn't
So
even see that coming.
I
That was
didn't
a
either.
that was crazy. Which also backs up your Melina, your comment that he's a thief, because like his daughter's
Yeah.
absolutely a rogue, 100%,
Oh, for sure. I mean, and they show that in the beginning with how she's raised. It's
and
like,
trained.
yeah, it's like, oh, we need a rogue in our party.
Ellen just heard me say that, and she goes, "Oh,
Yep.
I
Yep.
know.
Good. That was a really smart sequence.
yeah,
And very, very, that whole like as soon as they got to the city was so D&D. Like
Yes.
it was their plan, them having too many plans, just like we always have too many plans, none of them
Yup.
working, and just doing shit on the fly, and then finally coming up with one thing that like makes it all happen. Because
yeah,
like you knew they were gonna get into the tournament somehow, because
yeah,
they kept like saying it, and like they weren't gonna show it unless they were in it. Also, the scene I thought was really unique to most movies was them trying to get into the vault, right? Because there's a lot of heist movies and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of heist movies where the people can use magic. So I thought
Yeah.
that was very creative, like going up underneath the cart, Like that.
It was a very, very
So
D&D
good.
esque like plan,
Yes.
in my opinion, because like the amount of steps that it took to get done, and like in between those steps, like you have someone who's like accidentally falling through the portal,
Mhm.
and like you're making dex saves while also making like fucking, I don't know what you would do it for a distraction performance. You know what I mean? As she's like tugging him from the other side of the portal and like distracting the guards. Like it's such a thing where like, okay, this plan is going well, but I'm the DM and I need to throw a wrench in. You know what I mean? Like, where can I throw that? And like, how would the party react and adapt to it? It showed a lot of those decisions on both ends. You know?
Absolutely. I think it was really good. And then they split the party three ways and got fucked. And
Yep.
so like that's what happens when you split a party. Everyone knows it.
At least
But
they
then
taught. At least they taught everybody now. You know
they
what I
taught
mean?
everyone, and they did a good job of like representing the DM not wanting to kill all of them, which like realistically they should have, right? But the wizard was like, "Let them fight,"
Yeah.
which was
Yeah,
like such a
she
DM
wanted
thing of
them-
like, I don't want this to be a TPK right yet.
Right now,
They're so
yeah.
close to this big bad fight I have planned.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
they all got fucked. They had I even liked the little like spell with the tentacle spell. That was
Yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
such a classic like mage like dark mage
I was
stat block.
Yeah, I was thinking like summon aberration or something like
Oh,
that.
I think it was. I thought it was straight up like I can't remember the name
Oh,
of the.
what?
It was like
Yeah, I know what you're
Evaldi's-
talking about.
Evaldi's tentacles or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think
One of the
someone
players
just
has
yeah.
that.
I think Kelsey has that.
Yeah, I was like,
Or
oh
Or
man.
was it do you have the weird tentacle trap magic spell, or is it Kelsey?
Kelsey.
It is Kelsey, yeah.
So yeah, I was like, oh cool.
I forgot about that.
Little shout out. Yeah, that whole thing. Even the mouth raining gold on the city, like
Oh,
That was
brilliant.
amazing.
So good.
Amazing.
and the
I was
paladin
wondering
was right
why
all along.
What-
Where he
That,
said
like he fulfilled his oath and
yeah, he
came back
fulfilled his
to the
oath.
Harpers.
He's
Yeah.
like, he made an oath to give all the riches back to the people, and he was like, I think you'll fulfill this oath. And
Yeah,
like, the
just
whole
because
time
the
he was like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I love that line. He was like,
Make
"Just
him-
because you're through with your oath does not mean your oath is through with you." And I was
Yeah,
like,
I was
"Oh, that's dope.
That's
That's
good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Although, and then he was like, just because you say shit doesn't mean it makes sense. Like, or something like that was his
yeah,
response. And I was
yeah."
like,
He was like, "Just because that sentence is symmetrical doesn't mean it's not nonsense."
yes, yes. I was like, yes.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, he was not wrong,
Such
but
a-
he ended up being wrong because it's D&D.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because D&D.
Good.
Ugh.
Is there anything we didn't talk about? We only
Probably.
saw one Aarakocra and one Dragonborn the whole movie, and they were together.
There were
Um,
two Dragonborns actually.
were there?
The second one we saw was when the paladin was like, he came up to him and like gave him a drink of water or something,
Yeah.
and like kind of like put his hand on his head and said, like, whatever
yeah,
to
yeah,
you,
yeah.
good sir.
He gave him,
yeah.
gave him a coin.
A coin.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep,
that's
you're
right.
right. We saw Tabaxi and her baby getting eaten, and then saved.
That was cool.
Yeah.
We saw, and save. We saw, well, we didn't see the Tabaxi baby get eaten. We saw
No.
only saw save
Get
from
saved.
the mouth.
Yeah, that was cute.
It was.
Yeah.
I
I
will
mean,
say
that was
the
such a.
Tabaxi was the only like the Tabaxi was and it was. I don't think it was cheesy at all. But out of everything,
It didn't
it
look
was
real.
the cheesiest. Like, yeah, it was the most
A
unrealistic.
little bit clunky.
While I
Yeah.
agree with you, the reason why I appreciate it more
I
is
still
because
love
they didn't do CGI for it and they
Yeah.
used practical effects. So like I'm cool with it being
Absolutely.
kind of like campy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's why I'm like, I'm like that scene was still
Yeah.
great, and
Yeah.
it was the least realistic scene.
Yeah. Same with
Out
the
of everything.
Aarakocra. I feel like it's a very like dark crystal
Was a little
esque
bit, yeah.
costume, and I
Yeah.
actually like it because I feel like they're drawing you to the origins of the game where it was campy
Yeah.
and it is kind of ridiculous, you know.
Yep.
Well, even that, I don't even know if I would say like it's barely ridiculous. Barely.
That bird squawking as it's
Okay, yeah,
flying,
that's pretty funny.
like falling out
That
of
was
the tower.
You're right, actually. That scene was pretty
It was,
I changed my mind. That scene was the most, like
yeah, because like I get what you're saying about the tabaxi. I had the exact same thought, but I was glad that they only showed it for like what 20 seconds or
it was,
something.
like, the perfect amount. It was the
Yeah,
perfect
exactly.
dosage.
You were like, oh, they exist and they're showing us that they exist. Cool, good for them. But
And
like
then
the
I don't know
scene
if
in
you
the
saw,
tower was,
The tower was good.
we saw a lot of different creatures in the prison.
Yeah. What was it? Like an orc they brought in as like
We
the third
I think we
roommate?
saw like
yes.
a wood elf, a
We saw a lot.
Uh, yeah, I
yeah,
was
I
thinking
don't there
like
was a couple different
my
prisoners
if
that
you're
were
gonna do orcs, okay, in D&D in a D&D movie, and you're gonna make them look like Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, you at least need to add like tusk teeth. At least. Like in my opinion. Because like you didn't give him green skin. You didn't give him like tribal tattoos. You basically made an Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings without black.
Maybe he was half orc.
Oh, and yeah, and I mean that's fine. I still don't know if like
They never
Michelle
said.
Rodriguez is human or if she's like supposed to be
Uh,
Goliath or
I think
you know what I
she
mean?
was.
Like
For some reason, I want to say she was supposed to be Goliath, but
yeah, just because the
yeah,
tattoos and the like
yeah,
tribal stuff that she had all over her,
and the fact that she was from like a,
like a
no,
clan.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But like these are things that like are so
we're
minimal
nitpicking, yeah.
because the movie was done so well with so many other aspects involved. Like
Oh,
I'm
for
just
sure.
being a I'm just being weird now,
Well,
you
we're
know?
reviewing
I
it,
mean, the
so
things we're trying to figure out is like, are we reading into this? Was this
Yeah.
intentional? Was this unintentional? It was all fucking fantastic, guys.
Yep.
Like, go see it. Go,
yes,
please go
very very
see it.
Yeah,
good.
we
It's
highly
already,
recommend.
Even if
yeah,
you've
It's
never
so
played,
good.
if you've never played D&D, you will enjoy this movie.
You will,
absolutely.
and you might be more curious about playing D&D after it because
Exactly.
an adventure like this is kind of almost vanilla in comparison to some of the things we've done.
Yep.
So,
I
Yeah,
think
this is the most, it's a very like cut and dry,
yep.
like dungeon, like D&D
Yeah.
session,
This
like
would be
D&D
like not the
game.
starter set, but like the essentials set campaign.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
not
And
quite
like,
your first one, but something that you're still like getting used to your
This
character
is like
in.
after the Mines of Fandel.
Yeah, 100%.
After the
and
starter
like,
set. Yep.
no means does that mean boring. It just
No.
means
No, it's
like,
just your intro, It's a good intro. That's it.
Honestly, I feel like this movie was more like several arcs where they probably leveled up 2 or 3 times.
yeah,
They
for
would
sure.
have had to, because I mean, watching Simon do his spell work, like after he was able to attune to the helmet,
Yeah.
like that was a lot, Also, the
Well, it's
attunement was
amazing what counselors
amazing.
do.
What was
Yeah.
like intro arc where they're escaping the prison. After that, they collected the party, got them all together. After that, they met a paladin, went to the Underdark. After that, they did a heist, and then I'm probably missing one in between. They have a whole in game. It would have been an arc where they were fighting in the tournament, and then ultimately there goes the big bad. So I mean, they did a lot. Like they
That's like
did.
an 8 to 10
They did
session
a lot.
movie.
Yeah.
I
I didn't. I was worried that they were going to try and overwhelm us with content, trying to smash a whole campaign into a 2-hour movie. But I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
and I love that they gave us background that pertained to the storyline, but it's like we got very little of our druid's background because like very little of it pertained to the storyline. We got
Yeah.
more background on Holga because more of it pertained to the storyline.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got less background on Simon because it didn't pertain to like, we don't know more about like his great great grandfather and like or any of that. Like we just know that it existed.
I thought they were
I
about
mean,
to say that dude was Mordenkainen for a
yo,
second.
when they dropped his name on on the vault
The seal.
block, I was like, yeah,
I was like, oh man,
here we go.
Yeah.
It's
But
getting real.
yeah, I mean that's the name drop.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Good stuff.
Well, is there anything else that we missed that we want to talk about? I don't know.
No.
Probably.
I mean, there's tons of stuff. Our recording's pretty long though, so if they make another movie, would you want it to be a continuation, a prequel, a sequel, a different like setting altogether?
Uh,
I'd be down with following the party.
Yeah,
okay.
I would
I
also
would
say
like.
seeing the party
I
as a new party.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was what I was gonna say. Like having a standalone that's in the same like timeline and being following a new party who like runs into movie one's party for either help or just like shenanigans or maybe they're working against each other at certain points, like it would be
That feels almost
fun to
more
watch.
D&D because when you start a new
Yeah,
campaign,
I
you
feel like
always like see one or two from the first
there's some
campaign.
throwbacks,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
like obviously the paladin would be in it, but it would be nice to see like we're going to collect some like weird relic from a dungeon and Chris Pine's like there right before us and we have to like convince him to give it to us instead. Like that would be cool.
You
Yeah.
could have the rest of the loot. We just need this one thing.
I think they
Yeah,
left
exactly.
it open-ended enough to do any of those or all of those, and hopefully they do because
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it was awesome.
Yeah, and I will
D&D
definitely go
universe.
back and see it,
Absolutely. I would see it again.
Yeah, I
Me
almost,
too. I can't wait until I can buy it digitally so I can watch it whenever I want because
Heck yeah.
I'm doing
Exactly.
that.
I know. I feel like all of us are like I'm like, wait, names. What was everyone's names? I was too focused on
Yeah.
everything else.
Their names, I was not even trying. I was just calling them Barbarian and Bard.
Yeah.
Um, Okay. Do you want to give it an overall rating? That's filled with bias.
I would
us.
give it
10.
8 out of 10 kobolds.
8 out of 10 kobolds.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it adult red dragon out of red dragon.
Linears.
Yeah. So
Okay.
right under ancient.
That's nice. All right.
It's like an 8 or 9 out of 10. I think there was enough little cheesiness to it to
Yeah.
give it to not give it 10, but also like that cheesiness was like
It also
D&D's
made it
cheesy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yep.
really liked it.
Yep.
I don't think I don't have too many complaints with it that we didn't cover. So
Yeah. I think my only like the reason why I don't give it a perfect score is because when I watch movies personally, like in general, no matter what I watch, if it doesn't give me like really deep introspection, I can't put it over 8. It doesn't matter that the content is what it is. Like when I watch a Scooby-Doo film, if it doesn't give me introspection, I'm not rating it high, even though I
Sure.
love Scooby-Doo and it's not supposed to, that's just the way I am.
yeah, it's more of like
it
a
was-
feel good. It doesn't make you think
Yes.
too hard.
This is a Sunday afternoon movie where, it's raining outside and I just made bread and I want to eat that while watching something good. This is what I would put on.
Cool.
That's what I want to do today.
Do it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I work.
Same. All right. Well, thanks for listening to us review a very fun movie to us. And I hope it's fun if you guys go out and watch it.
Yes.
If not, listen to
absolutely.
our review and then you don't have to.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Also, I spoiled the monster for next week, so sorry,
That's okay.
people who do
That's
our
okay.
Instagram. But hey, you get a bonus episode. So
Yeah.
and we did say spoiler warnings. We didn't say specifically for what, I guess.
Yeah. There's big spoilers.
Yep. Okay, awesome. I think that's gonna do it for us today. We'll be back next week, and we'll have another bonus episode the next time we have some cool content to review like this. And if you enjoyed it, make sure you let us know. If you hated it, you can let us know that too. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.